Hello, it's Amber, your superhero stylist. It's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and today I'm talking about Thor, Volume 1 by J. Michael Straczynski. This is basically a rebirth story of the old gods because they had been destroyed in Ragnarok. So they do exist on a plane of existence. It's the afterlife existence. And somehow Thor is still able to communicate with his former human host, Dr. Donald Blake. So you just kind of have to accept that that is where the story begins, and that's able to happen. And Straczynski does actually make it believable, and he makes it entertaining. So I went into this book knowing very little about the Thor comic book character. He happens to be my favorite of the Norse gods, but I really had never read him in a comic before. And I expected to not like it. I expected it to be frustrating. The only Thor that I read was during Civil War, and I did find the dialogue very challenging for that character. He did kick a lot of ass, and that was great. But here, Straczynski makes everything appropriate. It's it's fun. It's easy to read. There's actually parts that are really, really funny, and I didn't expect that at all. So Donald Blake is told by Thor that the gods can in fact return to Earth, and it seems like a very simple explanation because he says you just have to believe in it. You just have to accept that that the gods exist, and if humans believe it, then it'll happen, and they can be resurrected. And Blake agrees to be Thor's human host again. So in fact, that's kind of how I see spirituality. I see people say things like, oh, it's a miracle, or things are meant to be, or they're not meant to be, and it's just a matter of validating beliefs. So when Thor does in fact return to Earth, there's a lot of awkwardness with the humans that he has to run into in the local town where he sets up his giant castle, and it's really freaking funny. I didn't see it coming at all with how hysterical it would be. But then he realizes, his first purpose, his first goal is to help his friends return to Earth as well. And he does this by picking and choosing which, gods and allies and goddesses should return. But then he runs into what he believes will be the next incarnation of Loki, and she convinces him that everyone deserves a second chance. So he's like, all right, you get a second chance. You don't get a third. And this is where we get the female incarnation of Loki, who's really, hot. But, it's Loki, so you always have to wonder what's going on there. The story elements are really enticing because the way that the gods do return is that Thor is seeking out these places where there's been massive devastation, horrible atrocities, and then he finds a human with all the qualities that a god would have, and that's how he finds them. So in New Orleans, for example, he finds somebody, a human with just the right qualities, and then he does whatever his energy transformation thing is and assists this person in becoming the host for the god. So the artwork, to get to it, is also spectacular. I really like that Olivier Coipel understands human anatomy, which it shocks me how many artists don't. You're drawing the human body, so you really should study anatomy. And he really gets it, and he gets what, where the muscle definition would be, and he can drape the bodies in armor and fabrics, and it looks right. You can see just enough muscle definition to know that there's muscle, even though you wouldn't normally see that with scaled armor per se, but you need to see some of those lines, and they're subtle enough that you get really great visual interpretations of these, massive, perfect, godlike bodies. The coloring, the lettering, they're also top-notch. They really do help move the story along. There are points when things are soft and quiet, people talking in a diner, and then there's the big crackoons that happen periodically, which are fantastic, and you can feel the sensation, you can feel that things get louder when they need to. So my summary is that it's 5 out of 5. Definitely pick it up. Thor Volume 1, J. Michael Straczynski. It's nominated for Eisners, so you can look forward to hearing more about this, I'm sure. even though people have been talking about it for quite a while. It retails for around $15. You can probably find some better prices online or your local comic book shop. So thanks for joining me today. I'm your superhero stylist, Amber. Be sure to subscribe before you log out.